Like even the big thing now is the legacy media, the mainstream, the huge outlets that were so influential. They're starting to crash, a lot of them.
Totally.
Because they were pathetic, you know? And like, should I say this? Like up in Canada, we have CBC. They don't leave their comments open on YouTube. Wow.
What does that say?
Monologue. They're not open to hearing. Okay, let me correct that. They don't leave their comments open on a lot of their videos. And sometimes they're touching on, you know, kind of a contentious issue, but they're not letting the people speak. That's not going to help them. Where you got the Joe Rogan types who just, you know, like kind of spewing out common sense, God forbid, you know, just spewing like, I don't listen to everything Joe Rogan says. I just catch little clips. I'm not, you know, endorsing, you know, everything about Joe Rogan. But the point is we're living at a time where there's the rise of common sense, you know, and a person, you know, can now make their own judgments about what to listen to and what's true. Like I follow a lot of different news sources around the world, and I love world news. And I find it remarkable how, you have a lot of these, you know, older big news source channels. They're sticking to that narrative. Yeah. And you can tell that, they're not gonna last too long.
It's like they're trying. It feels like they're trying to make the world in their image. It's like there was a concerted effort to tamp down common sense, that men can actually have babies and so on and so forth. Yeah. Marriage can be this or that. Yeah. There was a woman in California I saw online who apparently, quote unquote, married a train station, I think. There's a woman in Portland who apparently married a building, you know, like and there's this, there seems like this diabolical effort on the part of mainstream media to tamp down anyone who would object to that nonsense. Yeah. And it's just become increasingly difficult for them to do that. I think some countries have an easier job doing it. I was just in Australia, for example. There's a lot of heroic, beautiful people in Australia, just as I know there is in Canada. And yet there seems like, it feels like most of the news outlets are all singing from the same sheet of music.
Except Sky News.
Except Sky News, which from my vantage point seems to be talking almost primarily about American politics, although I'm sure they speak about Australian politics as well. But yeah, I mean, the rise of Sky News, that's an example. I mean, I don't know. I would presume that most of their listenership comes from North America, but perhaps I'm wrong. But I remember I was just in Australia 2 weeks ago with my wife, and we were watching the news, and I saw them talking about a particular group and demonizing them and writing them off, these young men. Yeah, yeah. And I just thought, I don't believe you. Yeah. They didn't let the people speak. Yeah. There was no fair assessment of their position. Yeah. They just ripped them off. And I thought, it's possible. It's possible that what you're saying about them is true. And if it is, I also condemn it. Yeah. But I don't know anymore. I don't actually believe you. I think you're lying to me. And I think a lot of people have felt that way. And now it feels like the people's voice is coming to the fore. I think the downside of this might be that we begin to question every mainstream narrative. Yeah. Like the Holocaust. Yeah. And things like this, right? Where it's like, and the moon landing, all sorts of things. Yeah. We're now like, it just feels like we have to question everything we have ever believed. Maybe gravity isn't a thing. Who knows what that is? Yeah.
Yeah. I would say like that the comments section, I love the comments section because to me, like say whatever, flat earth, you know, moon landing and all that, when you let the general public kind of give their opinion and there's the ranking of what comments are liked and all that, I find the comments section is decent at kind of calling BS and kind of, you know, balancing things out. You know, like sometimes you'll get a news piece and it might be 90% good, but 10%'s a little off. You'll catch it in the comments or something. Another example is, I think it was Australia, this weird big black odd ball just washes up on shore. And they're like, what is this? So there's people, like the police showed up in hazmat suits with the, you know, checking for, radiation. So they put this on the news, comment, that's an H-28 Bowie made in Russia. Here's a picture of it. Boom. that settles that, you know. So they didn't really need to send like that. Someone knew exactly what that ball was and gave a link to see what that ball was. And so, I mean, I'm not saying the comment section is perfect, but I just
no. Sometimes, I mean, very often, I think the most inflammatory comments get the clicks. Humility rarely goes viral.
Okay.
So I think both. I think
okay.
But even if I'm right,
yeah,
and I think over time, if you let people speak,
yeah,
I think whenever you tell someone they can't think something or say something, it gains strength and momentum in a way that you might not want it to. Whereas if you let it out into the open, the antiseptic light of truth.
Yeah. It's a different world. It's a new world where, like every year, we're making leaps. You know, I don't know if they're leaps forward, but things are changing.
Would you do me a favor and click the subscribe button? I don't know if you know this, but it's 100% free, and it's one of the best ways to support the work that we're doing here at Pints with Aquinas. Help spread these excellent interviews all over YouTube, and I think you'd agree there's a lot of junk on YouTube. We need more good conversations like this.